These people are Rohingya Muslims, some of those who fled from what the UN calls a genocide. Myanmar's government wants you to believe it never happened.
Our main important to save life. We afraid our life.
To meet these people, it took several days and a rickety boat ride to get to this part of Rakhine State in remote western Myanmar.
So foreigners aren't allowed in this part of Rakhine. The only way we're here is on a government escort.
We're only taken where authorities want us to go. Our first stop, the village of Indin. There used to be more than 6,000 Rohingya living here.
It's Rohingya?
Their existence now all but erased.
This way? That way, okay, thank you. So this is what's left of the Rohingya village that was here. It's completely overgrown. It's hard to tell that there were any structures here at any point. The only clues we have to the violence that took place here are trees like this one, still a year later bearing the scorch marks of the fires that burnt this village to the ground.
The government said their forces did respond to Rohingya terror attacks here in 2017, but that the Rohingya burnt down their own houses. Only local Rakhine Buddhists remain now. This man supports that story. The Rohingya started threatening the army, he says. The Muslims announced that they would have a celebration by slaughtering and cooking the soldiers and Rakhine people. Though clear evidence shows it was the Rohingya who were the main victims of slaughter, 10 Rohingya men were hacked and shot to death by Myanmar soldiers, a massacre the military has admitted to, and that 2 Reuters journalists were jailed for investigating. The UN says many more men, women, and children were savagely killed here as well. The trip then continues through a barren, empty landscape. Makes sense when you remember the UN says 720,000 Rohingya fled when violence broke out last year. A full UN report documents how the military and local groups engaged in rape, torture, and the murder of at least 10,000 people to get rid of the Rohingya, a group many in broader Myanmar regard as subhuman non-citizens.
So do you continue to claim that genocide did not happen in Rakhine State?
During the incident, there was some damage. Regarding the army, they did everything within the law. We cannot comment on whether it was right or wrong.
The question is very simple. Do you believe that genocide happened here or not?
I'd say genocide didn't happen.
Myanmar's civilian leader, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Aung San Suu Kyi, also denies genocide. Her government says it's ready to bring back Rohingya refugees like these, stuck in no man's land, forced out of Myanmar, and not allowed across the border into Bangladesh. They're staying put in part because security forces that would oversee their return are some of the same people accused of carrying out the killing in the first place.
The conditions inside that camp are obviously horrific. There's no access to education, no health care, no electricity, food is scarce, and yet still they'd rather be on that side of the fence than this one because they're too afraid to come back.
Myanmar might continue to deny ethnic cleansing, but the evidence gathered by the UN and others is overwhelming. A government-sponsored trip does nothing to change that fact.